Hi, it's Steve. Today we're going to show you how to change the surface element on your range, and it's a really easy job. All we're going to need is a number 2 Phillips screwdriver, a 3/8 socket, a pair of needle nose pliers, and a pair of wire strippers. Let me show you how we do it. Now, to do this repair, since we will be working near some electrical circuits, we'll need to disconnect power to the range. So it has a cord on it, simply unplug it. If it's a hardwired range, you'll need to locate the fuse or breaker panel and turn the power off there. And then we're going to pull the range away from the cabinets so that we can access the back panel, because that's the next step we'll have to do, is remove the complete back panel from the range. Now that we have access to the back of the range, we'll remove all of the Phillips screws that hold that back panel on. And be sure to support that back panel as you remove the final screws. Then just lift it away and set it aside. Now next, using our 3/8 socket, we'll remove these two 3/8 bolts that go down through the top. Now there is also a bracket that secures the oven vent tube. We'll also need to remove the screw that secures that at the very back here. So just reach in through that opening. And then remove that single screw. Now next, we'll go back to the front of the range and we'll remove the two screws that secure the front edge of the top to the body of the range. So just open the oven door, then locate the two screws at the front and remove those. Now with those two front screws removed, we can now lift up on the whole top from the back, so that we clear that and slide it forward to disengage those tabs at the front. And then we're just going to pivot it into an upright position, making sure that we don't put any stress on the wire harness. And it should balance itself there pretty good, but make sure that it is stable. We can then disconnect the wiring to the element. And just take note of where each of those wires go. And if their connections are snugged, use your needle nose pliers and pull those off. Now once we've removed the wires, we then need to release that mounting strap. So using your needle nose pliers again, we're just going to grasp the end of that and flex it so that it will fit through that opening. Remove the mounting strap and then carefully lift the element away from the main top, and then we can discard the old one. Now before we install the new one, we'll take note that the terminals on that top of that block are a smaller type than the original element. So we'll have to make some modifications to the wiring to accommodate that. They do send a couple of short jumpers. What we'll need to do is cut the two terminals off of those top wire connections and splice in the short jumpers. Now our next step will be to replace these wire terminals. So using our cutters, we're just going to snip that off. And then we'll want to strip back about 3/8 of an inch of that insulation. Do the same thing with the opposite pair. Then we're going to take one of the jumpers and we'll place all three of those wires together. We'll take one of the wire nuts that are supplied with the kit, fit it over the end, and carefully twist it clockwise on there so it's a nice tight connection. Do the same with the single wire connection. Now we're ready to put the new element in place. Now with the new element in place, we're ready to set the main top back into position. And you'll note the two tabs on the main top are going to go in underneath the two tabs that are attached to the oven body. So when we set that down in, we need to make sure that those go in below those two tabs. So just raise the back of it up, line it up side to side, and leave about 3 inches hanging out over the edge, just so that we can line those up. And then just watch those visually as you push the main top backwards to make sure that they do slide into place. Then pull it back until we line up the holes for the 3/8 bolts, and then we'll install those next. No. Once we have it lined up, we can go ahead and we'll put those 2 Phillips screws in the front first. Next we'll move around to the back so that we can secure the top with the 3/8 bolts and reinstall the back panel. Now that we have the back slid, now that we have the top slid back into position, I want to just double check and make sure that we have it on the proper side of that bracket on the vent tube, and it should come out over it. So you may need to lift that top up and just tuck that bracket in behind it. Line up those 2 screw holes, replace those first, and then next we'll install those 2 3/8 bolts. So make sure again that those holes line up properly. Start both of those bolts, and then tighten them with your ratchet. And now we're ready to put the main back panel on. So just carefully lift that up into position and secure it against the back of the range. And then install the 2 top screws just to hold it in. Then we'll secure the 2 top screws just to hold it in position. We won't tighten those yet, just enough to hold it there, and then we'll go ahead and put the remaining screws back in. Now that we have the main top back in position and secured, we're ready to reconnect the power, and our repair is complete.